Okay, everyone, we're back in the process of trying to repair laminate on one of the Singer sewing machines that holds a machine I have available. Again, I showed this before. This is made by a company called Sewers and Company. There are a number of companies that do this. I think I paid $16 and it gives you, it says 3 square foot, but it gives you one sheet of cherry, mahogany, maple, red oak, walnut, white oak. I thought it was a pretty good value for what is. These woods are not stained. And this table is mahogany, the one that I'm working on. So I'm probably going to just use the mahogany veneer. Keep in mind that if you don't have this, let's say you have something else that you want to use, you don't have to have the exact wood. What you really want to do is get a grain that matches as best you can. And because you have options with things like restore finish, even stains and varnishes, a lot of furniture over the years is made and they'll say something is cherry when in fact it's cherry colored. And again, the goal here is to really make sure we get a grain. And this is a mahogany grain. I recognize it just because I've seen so many mahogany Singer tables over the years. And now you see where I have my tracing. Now, I'm not going to pick out a specific area of grain. This one's fairly consistent. If one of the edges of this tracing were totally straight, I could come along the edge. I haven't decided where I'm going to put this yet, but we'll see. Not so sure. It's, you know, you save veneer by doing this, but again, if I'm going to cut this out with a blade knife, I don't want to put myself in a position where I'm having to get right on the edge and be exact. That's, you know, I'm concerned I could actually end up having this slip, although I haven't really thought about scissors being able to cut this or not. So just to be safe, I'm going to come over here, and this is the side I'm going to use. Now the next question is, how do you hold this still, this tracing paper? What I'm going to do is I think I'm going to, I may actually trace over my tracing, because if I try to tape it down, it's going to get really difficult to see. So I think what I'm going to do is now take the tracing I made and trace it out yet again. I think I may use a pen because I don't think my pencil is going to be dark enough to show anything. And I have a ballpoint pen here. Now, any of you who've ever done tracing knows one of the most important things is you've got to ensure that your tracing doesn't move, or that will totally throw off your shape. I have a little piece of wood came out of an old sewing case, and I'm going to use it to sort of hold this piece flat or hold it still. And it doesn't have to be the same length, just long enough to cover it. Now, I feel like I've sort of gotten it to be still. Remember, this is a paper towel, so you can't really push sideways. So I'm going to see we'll see what this looks like. See, the paper wants to move a little bit. That's something I don't want, really. In fact, I'm going to get this wood a little out of the way so I have some clearance. Oops, doesn't want to stay down. I may have to come back and tape that side. Anyway, so I'm going to come up this way. I'm trying to put light pressure totally down. I don't want to go sideways. That's going to make the paper curl up, and it wants to do that again on the edge. So let's see if I can hold the edge down over here. Okay, that's one end. Make sure that that paper doesn't move now, because if it does, it's going to throw your whole shape off. And if you end up cutting a little large, or cutting out a piece of wood that's larger than your tracing, that's okay. You can trim it down. If you get it too small, you really can't you have to kind of start over at that point. Let's see if I can use that technique on this edge here. Make sure I can get that line. You know, again, measuring is not really helpful when you have a piece that's a very organic shape like this. Now, probably blocking your view with my elbow there. I'm going to come over, again, holding the paper still. Don't let it move, or you really have to kind of restart and recalibrate. Now, I'm going to let the paper stay right where it is and get it as close to the edge as I can while still giving enough room here to maneuver. Now, this is again as a ballpoint. If you have a dart, like a number 4 pencil, I can't even remember my pencil numbers. If you have something like that, you could also do that. That might actually be easier than the ballpoint. Again, got to be real careful that I don't lose any of my paper coverage. Now, let's see what we have. Now, if you look closely, guys, in this light, you'll be able to see it. It's a little rough, okay? So what I'm going to do is any places that look, like right here, that look a little, well, maybe that is just the shape of it. It's sort of a natural shape. It doesn't have to be perfectly smooth. The idea here is that when I cut this out, you know, this is thin enough. I may try it with a sharp pair of scissors instead of the blade. I'm not sure yet. Let me see what the scissors will do, and we'll see if that's a wise idea or not. It won't take long to figure it out, for sure. Okay, I just got a pair of scissors here. And I think I'm going to start on this side because I don't have much to hold on to. So I'll start on the side that's closest to the edge. And I'm going to cut right on the ink line. Then I'm going to try to... I realize for some of you, watching me do this is like watching grass grow, so it's okay if you find it boring, but if you've ever thought about trying something like this, it's nice to watch somebody else experiment. This is the first time I've ever done it, and then if I screw it up, maybe you'll learn something. But I was very surprised that just how inexpensive the veneers were. You know, if you were re-veneering a whole piece of furniture, I'm sure the cost could get higher. Notice that I may need to retrim this at some point, but I want to err on the side of caution. And what I mean by that is I'm going to leave a little bit more than I might. If I have any doubt, I'm going to come outside, just outside the ink line, to make sure. Again, I can always trim some if it's too large, but it's going to be very, you know, not as much fun to try to redo it. Now, you have to be careful with veneers. Notice it wanted to split with the grain of the wood. So I'm going to do this carefully. Don't do it quickly and forcibly because you could end up having the veneer split on you. Because if I'm reaching the sort of the maximum limit of my scissors, okay, now this is what I've got. I'll let you guys see how it compares to the original piece of paper. How good did I get here, folks? Let's see how accurate I was or not. Anytime you do something for the first time, I always approach it with a sense of humility because, well, you know, that's how you learn. Okay, so I'm going to move the camera, see if you guys can see this. Maybe you can see a little bit better about what I did, if I managed to do it right or not. And let's see, let me pull, I'm going to magnify a little bit here. Okay, so if you look, you can see that not too bad. In some places the wood is wider. In this one little area here, it might be a little narrower, but as you go up, it's fairly close. It's close enough that now I'm about finished with my paper, but I'll hold on to it in case. I'm going to move. We're going to go back to the table and then see how it fits. So stay tuned. Next video coming out, we're going to go and see how this fits. Did I do it? Did that? Did I do a good enough job or not? And and the opening and the table will tell us that. So anyway, we will stay tuned. Next installment, we're going to go back to the table and see how well I did.